Welcome to World Builder Zach's newest series, Necromancers. Necromancers takes place on a planet where necromancy is the norm. Everyone has the power to raise the dead. Imagine a world where martial arts and magic combine. You never know what's gonna pop out of the ground. Now, like my last series, this is gonna rhyme from beginning to end like a rap or poetry. And I record these episodes live, so be sure to click the notification bell so you don't miss when I go online. So let's get into Necromancers. I hope you enjoy my story and my illustrations. Look, down there, another peasant breaks for the chasm, splitting checkpoints in hopes the knights won't harass him. On cue, an undead bird lit up like a phoenix rockets to the sky for the church guards to see it. In a moment, the Knights of Night make their move. Church law is unbending, an example they will prove. A knight on serpent bones skims the sand like a surfboard, slithering straight across the ground at land speeds too absurd. The other knight straddles striped mummified leather, charging on the back of an undead tiger. What was the man thinking, this poor sad sack, running too slow with a duffel on its back? It's the same for all of them. The knights have the upper hand. Sight lines for miles across this dry, open wasteland. The knights cut him off, poised to attack. The peasant stumbles to a knee and tries to turn back. That won't work. They need their example. Escapes worse than death to this church and its people. The knights encircle him, like sharks on the hunt. He falls to his knees, regretting his stunt. The man drops his duffel, cuts it open with a knife, pulls out a dead body, most likely his wife. That's why he ran. He did it for her. When she died, he was saddled to be her protector, to keep her body from being stolen by some knave, to save her from becoming an undead slave. Necromancers believe that when the body is revived, the peaceful rest is over and the soul is retrieved. They think the spirit only experiences pain, as if locked in the nightmare of a paralyzed brain. Like so many, he feared what could happen to his wife if some sick sadist owned her entire afterlife. The knights close in, and in self-preservation, the husband resurrects her without hesitation. The tiger lunges, and as out of left field, the man uses his undead wife as a shield. The cat mauls her face, the snake burrows around back. On command, the snake emerges for a sneak attack. Too fast to react, fangs breach his head. His skin runs pale while he's pollucked in red. The couple quickly became a pile of shame. The bride is still dead, now her groom's just the same. The knights release their pets and pack them into large sacks. They resurrect the couple and load the sacks on their backs. To prove to the unfaithful that defiance is for fools, they force the couple to all fours and march them home like pack mules. The Knights of Night scoff and laugh as they parade the poor couple through a town to a pig's trough. The undead can eat, but only for show. But all they are doing is make their stomachs grow. They continue right up until their bellies tear open. Now the knights get the reaction they were hoping. Desiccated, the land cracked and parched. It thirsts more than any planet I've watched. Thirsty for freedom through ludicrous absolution. Dying for the thick red blood of salvation. Necromantia, a planet where death is a prison, where insomniac souls are routinely arisen. No sleep for sorry spirits after their passing. Dead become undead pets everlasting. Morbidity is more common here than a conscience. Religion and rituals shackle history and science. Flesh won't decay the normal way when it's dry. No fast decomp, bodies mummify. Necromantia is the last place you want your remains to survive. Necromancers have a canonic ability that turns the dead alive. In their beliefs, your corpse is linked to your soul. Cremation is no option, you must remain whole. Their one saving grace was always the chasm. They threw the dead bodies down the bottomless canyon. It's said the chasm is as endless as steep. Or maybe necromancy just can't reach that deep. This caused the chasm to become a place most holy. Out of it grew religion like a fungus spreading slowly. born of beauty in the chasm's salvation, those thirsty for power then started their invasion. These people covet power more fiercely than you could fathom, until the government itself became the Church of the Endless Chasm. The Church's tower now straddles the canyon. Their greatest show of power is controlling the chasm. They grant access freely to the wealthy, with salvation passed down sparsely to the filthy. It is meant to be a reward to the faithful in the poor, but it's really a tool to keep them shackled to the floor. Despite the cruelty and obvious manipulation, so many remain pious to this unholy nation. This brings me to the boy I've been watching for a while, a child as bright as his optimistic smile. As a baby, mouse corpses danced for his amusement. By 7, he surfed on skeletal snakes for entertainment. Fortunate for a kid in this shanty town, to his family he's a prince, only missing his crown. They happily spend their free energy and time sheltering their son from morality and crime. I sent a necro ally to visit his father Solstice. He passed on my offer for his talented son Nexus. He shared that I am Valeris, influential in our galaxy, and I would like to offer a spot at the Milky Way Academy. Solstice recoiled and ran to his porch. He shouted an alarm to the knights of the church. He grabbed my ally by the sleeve to make him stay, but our Valeris technology helped him get away. When the knights arrived, all they found was this family. Letting him escape made the knights very angry. Solstice and his wife Eclipsia tried to do right by their neighbors and the church when they called for a knight. One knight pushed the father with a scolding shout. The other shoved the mother and laughed his way out. Eclipsia revealed her broken forearm, but that's just part of the Knights of Nights charm. Solstice ran to his wife, Nexus ran to the door. His only thought was to settle the score. Eclipsia yelled, "No, Nexus! Solstice, stop him!" Solstice turned to Nexus as the lights all dim. The knights talked and walked away like nothing even happened. Undead mounted on their backs in duffels drawn and fastened. A gorilla's paw ripped out and grabbed its master's face. Its other arm joined in as the knight thrashed all over the place. The other knight's duffel exploded when his snake periscoped above his head. The giant skeletal serpent looked down and the knight's face was injected with dread. Just like that, both knights lay dead in the street. Nexus then raised them both to their feet. The 4 lined up like toys for a child, 2 pious knights and 2 beasts from the wild. Nexus still reeling, he was riding the high. Solstice cried, "What have you done? They didn't need to die!" Nexus dropped his smile and his arms at his side. His father grabbed him by the waist and yanked him back inside. The undead hit the ground as the pious onlookers gathered around. Solstice placed his hands on his face. Think, think, think! But the more he'd think, the smaller his pool of ideas would shrink. Eclipsia stopped him. "We've only one choice. The chasm has spoken and we've heard its voice." He nodded in agreement. They both understood. They knew they must turn him in to protect the greater good. Eclipsia cradled her break and Solstice cradled their son. They drank of the church from day one. They were sure what must be done. The 3 walked somberly through the town. Slowly they marched with their heads held down. The crowd parted from both awe and fear. Whispers amplified each other until that's all they could hear. "Sinner! Evil! Scary! Repent! Savant! Future! Holy! Talent!" The people couldn't agree, but only one opinion matters. The Church of the Endless Chasm always rises above the chatters. Hours went by, even knights didn't get in their way. They reached the bridge entrance, all 3 knelt down to pray. Hundreds had followed them, waiting to see what will the church do with these 3. A bishop strolls up. "Peasants, state your business." Solstice looked down. "My son's something to confess." Nexus looked at his father. Solstice reassured. Nexus fails to make a sound, choking on the very first word. The bishop slaps him. "Don't waste my time. I will punish you and who let you through for this crime." Nexus spoke up, finally finding his tongue. The bishop didn't believe such words sneaking out of a child so young.
Impossible! This child vomits heresy! How dare you drool such lies here before me? Knights, put on a show for all the crowd to see. Make the peasants watch, humiliate them publicly.
Solstice bowed low. Please show him mercy. We are your servants. We came to confess publicly.
Nonsense! Do you think me so gullible?
The bishop gasped in fright as hands reached out of the rubble. The bones clasped his cloak and yanked him to a knee. The number of skeletal hands keeps growing. The bishop struggles to pull himself free.
Enough!
A mysterious voice blanketed the commotion. Powerful without effort, every soul became frozen. She had glided down on the back of a giant bat. With chaos as cover, no one noticed that. The bat hugged the ground, and just as a flex, she commandeered the skeletal hands, forcing them into steps. She's the head of Necromantia, priest minister Anastasis.
Now, Bishop, to our honored guests, you must be more gracious.
My priest! Cut off by a rotting hand sprouting up to cover his lip. Tears bled from the bishop's eyes as the hand slowly tightened its grip.
Priest minister!
Solstice quivers. We offer you our lives and more. Anastasis crouched to Nexus's eyes.
I believe you're exactly who I'm looking for.
Thank you for watching Necromancers Episode 1. If you enjoyed it, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode. Now, click the next video to go further down the rabbit hole.